whether the number of glaciers are decreasing or not. Because there was one question recently which was told that maybe the glaciers in this part, like Eastern Himalaya and Central Himalaya, they are melting and they are vanishing. However, if you look at the Karakoram area, there the glaciers are actually, they are advancing, or the size of glaciers are improving. So therefore, there is an anomaly which is called as Karakoram anomaly. You can Google it and you will find out there is an anomaly which is called as Karakoram anomaly. It means in Karakoram the glaciers are advancing, but in rest part of the Himalaya, the most of the glaciers are receding. Although it depends on topography, but mostly depends on the climate. So why it is happening? Again, this is a research question. There are different inventories which are already available to study all these glaciers as well as glacial lakes. For example, Space Application Center Ahmedabad, they have prepared or they are preparing regularly these inventories. GSI, Geological Survey of India, they do the studies in ground level. Then we have ICIMOD, okay, which is stationed in Nepal, or their headquarters in Nepal. They are also working on developing those inventories. RGI, okay, Red Dwarf Glacier Inventory. So RGI is also working on this particular aspect. I am one of the member of RGI from India. So we are trying to develop the glaciers as well as glacial lake mapping for the whole India, world, so that we can tell how it is changing in changing climatic conditions. There are many people in academics also who are developing or who are preparing different types of glaciers or glacial lake inventories. However, the question lies there that why redundancy? Why so many people are doing it? And if so many people are doing it, whether there is some similarity or not, and if the figures are not matching, then what's the use of this whole study? Okay. Next is regarding the glacier mass balance estimation in basin and regional scale. We need to know the glacier mass balance. Mass balance means in a year, in a hydrological year or in a calendar year or any particular time scale that we are defining, whether the glaciers are, the size is maintained or the size is getting decreased or the size is getting increased. That tells about the health of glaciers. And why the health of glaciers are important? Because health of glaciers will tell about the discharge which will come to all those different types of reservoirs, and that can influence us in deciding that how our water will be budgeted, how our water will be distributed, how irrigation policies will be developed. So we need to know about the health of glaciers, and which is basically from glacier mass balance. And glacier mass balance also tells about the climate change. Climate change impact is mostly seen in glacier mass balance. If there is any change in glacier mass balance, it means it has immediately shown the change in the climate regime of the particular area. Then we also need to know about the glacier ice thickness. So glacier ice thickness mapping and estimation of stored water is another important research topic on which people can work. And people are still trying, because now whatever models are available, these models are theoretical model based on surface velocity as well as two, three more parameters. So based on those, we are developing certain models. Like laptop model is there, HICTIC model is there, which we have developed. But these models are completely theoretical, and maybe we will have to develop it further. Either we will have to go to ground and we can do some GPS survey and we can tally it with our theoretical model, and then we can tell exactly what is the thickness of these glaciers and how much water is stored in these glaciers. Then mapping the future extent of glacial lakes, both in space and time domain. Okay. So if suppose there is a glacial lake is there, so if the glacier recedes, so how much that particular glacial lake will increase in size? Whether the size of the lake will remain same, it will increase or it will decrease. That will be always defined by what? It will always defined by the bedrock topography. What is the bedrock topography? How do we know about the bedrock topography? We can know about the bedrock topography spatially. Okay, spatially means in terms of space. If we are using any modeling approach, for example, the first modeling approach that I discussed regarding glacier ice thickness mapping, from there we can know about the bedrock topography, and then we can tell that, from the slope break, we can tell that how much that particular glacial lake will increase or decrease in future. That is space domain. But at the same time, if we want to tell about the time by which it will increase to that particular size, for that we need to also study the time domain. Then what time that particular lake will increase to that particular size? Again, that is also one research question which anyone can take in your future endeavors, like for PhD or for your master's dissertation topic also. Then there is one more topic which is glacial lake outburst flood modeling under different scenario. I know that you might have heard about different hydrodynamic models, 1D models, 2D models. You have studied already. Okay. So these you already know, and you people are expert of this particular domain. So glacial lake outburst flood modeling is also equally important, because if we have mapped glacial lakes, we need to know that if those glacial lakes breaches, that how much water will be released at what time, and how much inundation will take place in different locations wherever dams are there or wherever villages are there. And from this inundation, we can tell exactly that if we want to put some early warning system anywhere, like in South Ronat Lake now, a Swiss team and NDMA is currently working, and they are working on developing an early warning system, okay, so that they can tell people that if the glacial lake breaches, that at what time they'll have to evacuate that particular area. So this is one particular topic on which government is spending a lot, and we need lot many experts to work on that particular aspect. Finally, the most important topic here is standardization of the methods. Okay, but here please look at the portion which is in bracket, that is not freezing the methodology. It means we need to standardize this whole process. We need to standardize how we are mapping glaciers. We need to standardize how we are mapping the glacial lakes, or we are doing thickness mapping, or we are doing different things. We need to standardize all these processes. However, we can't freeze the methodology. Why we can't freeze the methodology? Because the methodology is still improving. It is not fixed, it is still improving. Then what do we need to standardize? Recently, when I was there in ISRO, when I was working in ISRO, so we worked on standardization of geospatial data. What was standardization of geospatial data? It means if many people are working on geospatial data, they are using on remote sensing data, the projection system that we are using, the geode that we are using, or any other data, means your intermediate processes that we are using, that should be standardized. Why it should be standardized? Because if it is standardized, then if I am generating some data, if you are generating some data, it could be brought into a common platform, and then people can interchange their information as well as knowledge. Otherwise, this redundancy that everyone is working on glacial lakes, or everyone is working on glaciers, they are mapping it, but still we can't bring it into a common platform. That is the major problem. So therefore, there was standardization of geospatial data. Similarly, recently Bureau of Indian Standard, they came to IIT Roorkee. So they were celebrating their 58 years of establishment, and we were celebrating our 175th years of establishment, IIT Roorkee. So commonly we conducted one workshop. So in that workshop, we have actually outlined that how we need to standardize the whole process of studying cryosphere as well as glaciers. Okay, so people can work on that standardization also. So if I ask you standardization, what is standard? How do you define standard? What is standard? Standard क्या होता है? What is standard? Yeah.
The standards may be defined as a set of rules or standard being magnitude in which it is accepted by majority or by all.
Yes, very good. Yes, yeah. It's a very technical definition, and it's very, very correct definition. However, if I talk in layman's term, how do you define standard? Standard means doing something in right way, first time and every time. If it is about process, if it is not about figures, it is about process. Doing something right way, first time and every time. Okay. So what does it mean? It means if you go to any branded shop like Domino's Pizza, you people eat Domino's Pizza. There is a possibility that every time you eat the same pizza, Margherita pizza, for example, it will taste same. Whether you are tasting it here in your campus, or you are going to Roorkee, or you are going to Delhi, it will taste same. So that's tell about the standard. It means doing something right first time and every time. Okay. So we need to do standardization of the methods, not freezing the methodology for bringing a commonality. So these are few of the research questions on which we can move ahead, and let's discuss one by one, because I have worked on few of these domains, so I want to discuss with you all. So few minutes earlier, Surya Prakash sir told one thing, that there was a disaster which was called as Kedarnath disaster of 2013, and where so many people lost their life. Not only that, but it also actually completely shaped the community who are working on glaciers, glacial lakes, or who are working on flood. So what exactly did happen in Kedarnath disaster? So this was one of the locality in Kedarnath which was called as Rambada. I don't know anyone of you remember, or you have seen, because you people were maybe kid at that time. So this was one village which was called as Rambada, which was in between the Kedarnath and the first point from which we start walking. So it was midway, which can host some 5,000 people. So after the disaster, you could see there was nothing left. We went for the field and we could see there was nothing left. There was no trace. Even one piece of concrete was also not present. Okay, it was completely washed away. This was the condition with the Kedarnath temple. The temple was also completely, like, it was some 7-8 feet height. It was located at a 7-8 feet height, but by that time it was buried up to 7-8 feet. Okay. So why this thing happened? why this thing happened. I don't know whether this video will play or not. Okay. So if you look at Kedarnath, it's located at a height of 3,583 meters and 223 kilometers from Rishikesh on the shores of Mandakini River, which is a tributary of Ganga. So the upper image, the upper part is actually Google Earth GIF that I have created, or video I have created. And the lower part was when this disaster took place, when this thing happened. The first information which was provided was from ISRO. We got data from our LIS4, as well as we got the Cartosat DEM. We combined it together and we produced the terrain of that particular area. And this was provided to all the people like NDRF people, SDRF people, Indian Army, Air Force. It was disbursed to everyone. They looked at this data and then they finalized that how exactly they need to approach